this is my first time doing this, and I'm not completely sure what I'm doing here. It's because this is honestly, late folks, is scary for me because I do not draw well at all, and my guest draws phenomenally well. Anh Vu is okay. She will sell herself short, so I'm going to build her up. She just finished organizing a major event, 101 Tales. She's a talented writer, whether she believes it or not. I got to listen to her read some of her sources. She's like, no, 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 no. Yes, 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 you are. You actually, I think, are going to. If you decided to do that, you'd be great at it. But what she's most known for, is her illustrations. And the thing about On is, like, I wanted to do something a little different on the Friday episodes, and I thought this would be On would be a perfect way to start this. I'm doing a drink and draw. So my drink of choice here tonight is coffee. No, nothing serious.
Cool.
Right? Nothing serious. But the thing is, this is a visual podcast now, and I think illustration is a very, very cool art form. And someone like On, more so than me, right? Because I draw, like I said, as you see, I don't draw very well at all. This is literally honestly my first chance to draw in months because I haven't had it, and I'm not well practiced to begin with. But I figure for me, this forces me to come out of my comfort zone completely. Even though if I'm not going to be great at this, it doesn't matter. The point is, I'm doing it. And in your case, this is kind of more your comfort zone. This is you drawing and illustrating, and I feel like for you, probably a much simpler way to come into this. I'm still going to interview you a little bit, but this way too. I find with illustrators, you guys are very visual in your way of thinking, and it's not always the easiest thing in the world to get you guys to talk. Not because you don't talk well, it's because it's not how you think or express yourself. Is that accurate?
Exactly. It's like if everyone has thoughts running through their heads, and it's all spoken words. For me, it's all pictures, like just flashes of pictures just popping up. So sometimes even I have trouble communicating with people, and I have like a stutter or like I trip over myself, or the words just smash together because all the pictures are just like flashing up and down.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk. So you, like, if anyone that actually should get a chance, you mention your Instagram right here, real first, because that's actually something people should check out.
Yes. So if you want to check out my artwork, you can go to ONK97. So O as in Oscar, N as in Nancy, K as in Kilo, 97. That's on Instagram, and you'll find me.
Nice. I'm actually so I gotta ask that. Why On? Why not On Vu? Because I just that like your name is very distinct as is anyway.
Oh, so growing up, I came straight from Vietnam to Korea, and I was put into the military-based schooling system. So from pretty much third grade all the way till I graduated, I was in Korea on a U.S. military base, and so being from Vietnam, I have a Vietnamese name, and everyone just can't really pronounce it right, and they end up saying Annie, and I just didn't like that. So I was like, and the closest they got was like the Korean version On, and it was spelled AHN. I was like, okay, fine, On it is. And when people ask me like, how do you pronounce your name? I was like, oh, think of it as On Off, ON, instead of like my name
Well,
On and Off.
so when I see your name, like I think of the Ankh, like the symbol for death, right? That like not that's how I think
Oh,
about pronouncing it, right? Because it doesn't have the K there, but otherwise it's how you spell it. So how did I do? Did I actually do a good job with your name?
yeah. My name is An.
An?
An, yeah. The
An?
Vietnamese pronunciation is An Vu.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
but
no, that's okay. No, it's totally fine. I look at my name. Like seriously, look at my last name. I
Pantalo Rascal.
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like I share your pain a little bit, but not to like the what's the term? Uh Not to the degree you have. Like you are you grew up essentially Americanized, but you also still have a bit. I can just tell this based on just this little bit of conversation. Your culture means an awful lot to you.
Yes, and I was told I still have a bit of an accent, which is fine. But the thing is, yeah, that's where my name comes from, and I strongly didn't want people to call me Anne or Annie because of what my name means in Vietnamese. My mom gave me a name that has an actual meaning in Vietnamese, even though it was named after a male character. But oh well, but it means strong and independent in Vietnamese. The middle name comes before the first name in Vietnamese. So it would be Vu and then my middle name and then An. And the middle name and the first name combined together makes a meaning. And um, so for me, my name means confidence and strong and independent. So to be called Annie or Anne, it just sounds
No,
doesn't sound right for
it's
me.
not your name. It's not your name.
Yeah.
It's not your name. Like people call me Josh all the time. My name has a meaning too. Like my full name is Joshua Daniel Pentelarusco. My dad and my mom, when they named me, like they were very much into the born again movement back in the 80s. So Joshua in the Bible is a strong leader, a general. God was for strength, and the nickname for Daniel was a prayer for wisdom. Like that's the whole thing. Now I don't mind being called Josh. I am to a lot of people. I'm Josh, and I'm great with that. But whenever I do anything formally, the name you see is the name I am. I am Joshua Pentelarusco. There's no I don't call myself Josh. Right?
Right.
Everybody else can, and I'm good with that. But it's not how I see myself. You see yourself as so. I don't know your middle name, so I can't actually say that. But you see yourself as
On
yeah,
on Vu. Yeah.
on
And
Boo.
and that's where the pen names come from, ONK on. So the K is actually the the initial of my middle name, but also at the time when I came up with that, it was my name to replace the word ink, because I when I started uploading my stuff onto the internet, I was using a lot of ink. I was trying to study ink. I thought I was going to be an inker or something, so I just replaced the I with the O, and then it become Ang. and it's just stuck around to this day. And then when you're growing up and you're following your favorite the painters or artists, and they all have like cool signatures, so you kind of come up with your own. So I did come up with my own, and so I just stuck with that name for
No,
eternity.
there's nothing wrong with it. It's actually it's just no. It's interesting. I learned. I actually have this. Some things about you have just completely clicked into place for me now, and it's like no, I. So my first impression of you, besides the fact that you were a little shy, right? You were a little shy, but I also, especially after I watched you read and I got to actually talk to you a little bit during 101 Tales. By the way, thank you very much for making such an awesome event. I thanked you a few times during this week, but but since you are here personally, thank you very much for everything you did for me and many other people. We appreciated everything you guys did. Mark's going to be here in a couple weeks, and I'll do the same thing for her there. But the thing that got me about you, and I noticed this, you had you dig discipline, and I picked up on that really quickly about you. And so when I was looking at this, and I was seeing, it's like, where did that come from? Now that you've told me what you've told me, I get it. You were always in a structured environment. And so for you, which also, and now I understand also why a little bit about I'm guessing just based on just those things alone, your process probably has a certain structure to it too.
In a way, yes, and in a way, no. Because as an artist, if as a growing artist, what I've learned over and over again is sometimes you have to decompose certain structure or a certain part of it, not necessarily entirely, but you redevelop those structures over time. So, same thing goes with life. But is there a structure to every, pretty much my drawing, my thinking process or anything I do, yes, there's always a structure, or else it becomes a complete chaos. Um, yeah.
No, I got I just saw like I've had the privilege to interview lots of people, and I always look at like the people that are really really good at what they do, what they have in common, right? And everybody kind of like I get it. You're still growing and you're still figuring some stuff out, and you're figuring out what completely works for you. Um, but I also like I get the feeling like for you, you like that like I'll build something like I'll think about it in my head. I'll process how I think I'm going to go about it, even if it doesn't work out quite the way you envision it. It doesn't matter. It the point is you like having that roadmap when you get started, and then from there, wherever it goes, right? Because
Yeah.
again, you're only as good as that first line on the page, and then whatever happens, happens, right? So
Pretty much, pretty much. So, like takes 101 Tell, for example. My idea was very small. It was like, okay, a campfire, get everyone around digitally and have them tell their stories. It's like, oh, what's a good name? I love growing up with 1001 Night, and that in itself is pretty much the start of like storytelling, where you have this generated list of like the stories over time, and that's amazing. And so I wanted to bring that together, except smaller, so 101. And I didn't care if it's gonna take a while for all of us to come out with like a 101 story, but I thought it was just like small group of people. Next thing I know, that was the idea: people to share story and connect and invite one another to be vulnerable and connect with each other, and during this time especially. So that was the idea and that was the goal, so I never lost sight of that goal. And then after that, everything just snowballed. We had like 46 guests on total, and then we got comics flex coming into play, and we got guests that come on last minute, and then we have all these technical issue, and then everyone wants to do this and that, and it's just snowballing together. But I was like, that's okay, as long as it all goes toward that one goal, and we have this deadline, we just need to meet it now. So that was it was, and everything else is add on.
that's very cool. All right, so before now, so I'm going to ask you a few more questions, and then we'll get to the wonderful part where we draw stuff, and you're like, "Oh my God, so much easier." And then I'll ask you some. I'll probably talk. We'll probably talk off and on as we
Oh
do this,
yeah.
right? But what's your favorite thing to draw?
My favorite things to draw. It actually changes over time, but I always love drawing faces, because when I draw, it's to pretty much get all these emotions out. Because for me, I don't write as much. I still don't think I'm a good writer, but I've started journaling here and there when I was down at the pits. But like drawing was just transcribing whatever I'm feeling, whatever emotion I couldn't show people onto the paper. And that was just between me and the paper, and that was my conversation to myself, kind of thing. And so faces was always my thing to draw. Now that like things have changed a bit in my life, and I don't have as much as an angry expression anymore. I'm starting to step back and take a look at like the fundamentals and how to improve my art. So one of the things I've been drawing lately is just circle and squares. And I'll show you why later on.
Okay.
Yeah, I brought this little assignment I've been doing lately.
So that's cool. So explain the circle. Like what is like just a bunch of circles and squares?
So this started lately, where after 101 Till, I had a chance to like talk and get advice from different people on what I can do to grow as an artist. Because all this time I was just drawing out just my emotion. I wasn't just really drawing anything, or like really producing anything, in my opinion. And so I got a chance to talk to one of the mentors, and they mentioned that you got to go back to the basic, you got to go back to the fundamentals, take a look at your drawing now, take a circle or a square or a triangle, any shape, just using that one shape, tell a story with just that shape, tell a story with just a circle or a square. And that was my assignment, and I used that, and it's kind of like storytelling, and I use the circle to demonstrate like the feeling of the circle over time. So when a reader looks at the circle in certain panels, they can pick up on what that circle is feeling. So
Wow.
so it's a storytelling, and a it has a lesson in it. In that little exercise, there's a lesson in it, which is storytelling. Each picture has to tell a story, and it has to transcribe into the next panel where readers can follow. Now, after drawing that out, I take that exercise and I put it next to my existing drawing, and I immediately see the difference in that, okay, as a viewer, as an audience, you look at my drawing, you're missing out on so many details that I, as the artist, the creator of that one character, know about, but yet I didn't draw it on there. So, as the reader or a viewer, you're missing out on that detail. So, you're not getting the same message that I'm trying to put out. You're just seeing it as an image. So, it changed my mind completely.
So I'm gonna ask. Actually, I'm gonna ask two more. I'm sorry. You prompted another question, so I gotta ask this. What's your goal? Like, what do you want to do with what you've done?
What I want to do with my art, well, number one, right now, I am trying to improve it. In what ways? There's so many ways. Improve in quality, improve in my anatomies, improve in making sure the image tells the message that I want to produce over to the audience, not just leaving it to the audience to guess and whatnot. I want to make sure that my message across my artwork is clear. So that's my goal in terms of currently and art wise. In the long run, I'm still trying to figure out, like, I don't necessarily don't would want to be a full-time comic artist or anything like that. I see myself as an illustrator. I love illustrating, I love painting, and until I can really understand and see that as like a challenge, a fun thing to do every day, then I don't want to make it into a career, because it takes away the fun, and I don't want to do it.
No, I totally understand. So, like, you want to be the person who does like children's books, like young adult, middle age, or do you want to do like those the awesome literary covers like Michael Whalen does for like some of the big fantasy books? Like, what would be the idea?
I want to publish my own story. The
Ah,
stories you guys heard from 101 Tell, I have one of them is one that is close to me. Like, it's just like I say on 101 Tell, it embodies the Buddhist teaching that I was taught, and it pretty much follows just the very rawness of life. It's like you have someone who's sheltered to meeting all this tragedy, and yet you never lose sight of your morale throughout life, and make sure that you stick by them, because that's what I see life as, is like you're constantly thrown at with a lot of adversity, and that is to test out your own morals. It's like, yeah, every single decision you're making is testing your morality, testing your will. And so I want to demonstrate that in the book. But it's just a lot about life and what I learned as a Buddhist growing up from my grandma. And
oh,
of course, about my homeland in Vietnam.
Jeebus, I want you back for a full proper interview because there's a lot to you. There's a lot to you. And I could interview you literally all day, but I want to try something different this time.
Yeah.
Would you come back another time and would like for just a proper formal interview down the pike?
Oh yeah, sure. So sometime next year. Let me have December off.
No,
I
no, no,
gotta
no.
go back into
I'm booked.
studying.
I'm booked till almost February already. I like no, no, no. So I booked November, December in 3 days,
Woo.
like all of it, except for like
Oh,
Christmas. Like, I took Christmas/New Year's off. I've started with January. I got like this international like flavor for the first week of January. The second week of January is pretty much booked solid. Do you remember Tyron? They introduced me to him. I don't know how to say his name right. I feel really terrible now because I we were talking about names earlier.
Who was it? What?
Uh, God, I'm saying his name wrong. I'm not sure why. The high school, the kid with his own.
Tamir?
What?
Was it Tamir Streeter?
Yeah, Tamir. He's going to teach me. He's going to give me an art lesson in the new year. And
Good.
I have. Hey, listen, I got no shame. This is me starting completely from ground zero. So I'm doing that. I got a surprise on Wednesday. I'm not going to name. I haven't dropped it. I have a surprise this Wednesday. I normally take Wednesdays off, but this is. I'll give you a hint. They overcame something really huge, and he kind of really wanted to come on. So I'm like, all right, let's just do an impromptu drop a bomb Wednesday out of nowhere. It's going to be there. So there's that. So what I'm really looking at for you, at the rate we're going, it's either the end of January or February, and I like that's so. I might come in December and go, please settle on a date now because I'm going to get booked otherwise. But
yeah,
but
no worries.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a lot to you, and I really feel like I could do a full-fledged interview with you. I appreciate what we've done so far. This is like a new format for me, so I don't know. It'll even be this format when we get there. But I wanted to try something different, and I appreciate you being my test subject.
Guinea pig.
Yes, on that. However, now we're gonna get into like kind of some nuts and bolts. When you draw, what do you generally do? Like, do you do music? Do you just keep it silent? What do you tend to do?
At the beginning when I do pencils, it's usually quiet, and then after the pencil's down, just like the basic outline of like where things are positioned, and then after that, it comes the fun part when you get to fill in all the details, do all your shadings and all that. That's when the music come on, and it just stays on the whole time.
So what do you listen to? Like, generally speaking, anything in particular?
Power music. Like I listen lately. I've been just jamming to Nightwish.
Oh my god!
If you know
I
Nightwish.
had you pegged. Holy shit! I had you like metal kid. That's what I thought. Like secretly metal kid, and I'm like, oh my god, I have you pegged. Nightwish is one of my favorite bands.
The Greatest Show on Earth. That's my favorite. I listen to that going to work too.
so for me, when I write, there's a musician called Light. She has a very ambient style.
Uh-huh.
So I listen to more like when I'm listening when I'm running, I prefer lighter stuff, right? When I'm listening for fun, it's Amon Amarth, it's Nightwish, it's Blind Guardian. It's like that's what I do for fun. Like that stuff's some of that stuff's incredibly technically good. Like Nightwish, they are literally world class musicians. Like they are world class. Like they are so good that I do not think people realize just how fundamentally sound they really are.
And it's so cool. I finally got it after watching some of the podcasts online this week. I'm gonna butcher the name, but anyways, if you watch I should look it up because this could help some people. But I've been watching some of these podcasts lately, and one of the guests on there shared that there's like a connection in drawing and music. It's like a composition, especially in comics. It's when you're drawing a comics and directing each panel, it's as if you're composing a whole song. There's that like very soft sound, and then there's a rise in drama, and then there's like you're back down to that quiet, and it's like building the plots of a story. Same thing with like drawing. Like if you're just illustrating it in, like myself, colors is the note, color is the sound you hear. So when you see the red, that's like drama. You see the blue, that's like cool, or you control it when
green can be sickness, yellow could be like
bright and hope, and yeah. or just like that nostalgic feel. So it's so similar, music and drawing. So no, and like it finally makes sense to me. So yeah, I was looking at Dialogos, the comic. That's a podcast on YouTube. It's DDC, and they interview people like Klaus Janson, Carl Potts, and there's one more, JM. Oh, Fabian. Nicia Nicieza?
Maybe in this
Yeah,
guy. Yes.
yeah. You have to watch him.
He's an amazing creative mind. I read him off and on my entire like adolescence. I used to read him. He did a comic book universe called Valiant Comics back in the day. One of my favorite books of his was Troublemakers. He did that was a really fun. That was a fun book. Another book he did that was I really enjoyed, but not too long ago, was Red Robin. His version of Tim Drake was really fun, and he is in today's era underrated, actually, a little bit. He's done an awful lot for the industry that people just do not realize. So what we're gonna do, I think, because I can keep talking to you all night, and I want to do something different, but I mean, if it just becomes a talking episode, it becomes one. I don't mind it. I like you, so I mean, it's like you're definitely smart. And you got lots to say, and there's not a problem with that. But what I think that again, something I just wanted to try, and if it works, it works, and if not, I don't feel looking foolish. So
No worries.
why don't you show people what you're doing? I'll try to do something kind of similar, I guess. I don't know. Actually, I can't do that right now. Got to figure that out for me in the future. Well, hey, something to.
Okay, no worries. Let me do this because this drink and draw thing was actually introduced to me by Mog Park, and she used to live here in Hawaii, and we would meet together, and we would just sit in coffee shop, get out coffee to drink, and just draw. And over time, when she moved over to the mainland, uh, whenever they visit, it kind of we leveled up. We started drinking beers and like stuff like that. We go to the bars and sit and draw in the corner. But
Listen, there's something very relaxing about a shot of whiskey, brandy, whatever your drink of choice is while you're going. As long as it's just one or two.
yeah, oh, like let me see if I can mute myself on this.
Let's see here. I'm going to try to do something similar. So what I'm going to be, share application window. No, your entire screen.
I think I enter on the bottom if you add that screen in.
No, share audio. Chrome tab. I've been trying to do so. What I'm going to be doing here, just for some practice, where everybody wants to see, that's what I'm going to be doing. I love collectible card games, and that was to me the way to do it. I had a lot of fun with that when I was a kid, but also because I actually wrote a script. I actually wrote a script about basically how to do a comic. Like, it's a secret leads to how to draw a comic, and my main character is a dragon that criticizes me for drawing. So for practice purposes, probably the first thing I need to figure out how to draw is a dragon. So that's what I'm going to try. I don't expect mine is going to look anywhere near like that, but it's just the practice is important for me. So,
yes.
And as for you, let's see if we can get you here. There we go. So we're going to do that. So I'm trying something here. So that's what you're working on. We're going to actually focus on you here. That's amazing, by the way. You're incredibly gifted at what you're doing here.
Oh, thank you. And this is actually a practice piece. It's more like a fun piece.
Okay, that's weird. How did that? Why is that going like that? Got the things we learn. Hold on a second. Say something here. I'm just testing something out real quick.
Are you hearing an echo?
Yeah.
Okay, it might be my size. Hold on.
Technology error, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, how's that?
You're still hearing the echo. Oh, okay. I see what you did. You muted the other one.
Yeah.
That worked.
I think it's still an echo though. Yeah.
Yeah, you can still echo. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna mute myself whenever I'm talking.
Okay. Okay. So now I can't hear her at all.
Hold on. Sure, I'm muting myself.
I hear you. It sounds like a fire alarm. Are you starting something on fire over there?
No, but I'm scared every time I talk, this thing is gonna reverberate back.
It is. Huh. Weird. Weird.
Okay, how about this now?
Wait, yeah, it's better. Yeah. What'd you do?
I muted my laptop and then turned on my phone.
It works. It works.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Elektra, and she looks like she's having a bad day.
Yeah, kind of. I was trying this when I was at work, and so I was kind of on fume.
So, so yeah, the dealership is actually that must be kind of tough right now because how do you sell a car when no one's got anywhere to go?
You'll be surprised.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of people buying right now.
Really?
Yeah. I work more on the service side, so but I heard on our sale department we're selling pretty fast. But again, I think they're having like deals going on, like lower interest rate if you purchase around this time.
Ah, I see. I see.
But yeah,
Okay.
this is Elektra, and I started doing her because I haven't done any portrait work in a while, and I just wanted to improve my art a little bit.
Interesting. Like like obviously, wow, you're good. Like you're very, very good. Like the size are so. I know comics aren't necessarily your goal, right? I get that, but I am kind of wondering if you were to do comics, what would you draw? Like who would be your dream?
Oh, that's a tough one. Like I want to go straight to Vampirilla, but I feel like
Vampirella.
yeah, but
I love reading her.
yeah, the thing is, there's so many remakes of her already, and like
So
I don't, um, I don't know. I want to work on a newer character and like have more say in how to develop them.
well, I mean, so I always look at when I look at like okay, so my dream is Green Lantern, right?
Mhm.
That's my dream project, and there's lots of Green Lantern Corps members out there, right? There's millions of them.
Yeah.
But the thing I always ask myself is, what kind of story can I bring to the equation? Because it's not about how many revamps you make. that are out there. It's about exactly what I bring to the story. Like, what am I adding to it that's not already there? You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. So when I look at you, right,
Mm-hmm.
like you could do. So I've my dragon jogging has turned to a very warped version of Mr. Grinch, but that's okay. I'm alright with that.
So okay,
Um,
let it flow.
that's all I'm doing. Hey, like you said,
But in that case, like I would do Vampirella because her story is like a story of atonement. Um, I was just reading some of the Master series, and there was one that was illustrated by Joe Jusko, which is one of my favorite artists. But the story was pretty much about how Vampirilla was atoning for her mother, Lilith,
yes.
and there's just so much to explore with that. Like, um, just how can you atone enough for the crime caused by Lilith, right? And where does Vampirilla fall in that herself? Like, is her whole being is just gonna be there for atoning for her mother's sin?
Well, I think see to me, I think what makes yeah, depending on which version of Vampirella you read, my personal thing, the interesting thing about her is she's kind of she's in our world a fish out of water always because she doesn't really belong here. She's from dang it, Mechanical Pen first tragedy right there. That's all right, but but she always she kind of she's not from our world. She's stranded here for all intents and purposes.
Yes.
So I always looked at her as kind of like, okay, so you're stuck here, and now what do you do with the rest of your life, right? How do you make a home in a place where you're not really home? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've always liked about her. Also, she's hot. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's part of it too. I'm not. I am a comic book fanboy at heart, and but I mean, Vampirella when she's done really well is actually a great book.
Yeah.
It's when she's not done well though, it hurts a lot. So
And the thing about Vampirella is that there's so much character to her.
yeah,
Um, she's not just like very rigid,
no,
more like Lady Death, who I think um, is a little bit more grown up, more rigid, and Vampirilla has a bit of like a whimsical sense to her.
she can. I mean, she absolutely can. She has a sense of humor about her life a little bit, which I think is which really helps her. Um, that's not too bad. Um, but I think with her, what I like about her, like I said, she's a stranger. She's kind of a monster, but she's not,
Right.
right? Which I think is kind of cool. And there's a lot to her. Like she's not one note at all,
Yes.
right? So she actually, I again, one of my I actually the one I actually kind of was enjoying right before the pandemic was Vengeance of Vampira. It was like it was the kind of '90s comic I as a kid I actually thoroughly enjoyed. So kind of brought that nostalgia back.
Yeah. I honestly do like the older comics and the older styles and stories. Um, it's like they like actually growing up. I was mostly in Asia,
Yeah,
so I was exposed to manga, and um, that and the Ghibli studio. To
Oh my
me,
God.
Ghibli studio was Marvel and DC.
Yes, it is. I love Ghibli Studio.
And the nice things about those movies and stories is that they know how to pace things, and it tells a story that just sink into you at the right time.
Well, the thing so my favorite comics is my favorite thing about manga in particular. So one of my favorite mangas is Full Metal Alchemist. Like
Oh,
love that manga a lot. It is so um, well done all the way through. Right. I really dig I really dig the resonance with that story is so amazing to me. And the thing I like about it is um, it's got an act one, an act two, and act three. And Studios Ghibli, I mean, most of the really good animation studios down there understand the importance of that act one, act two, act three thing. And I find a lot of comics in North America never really think about act three. And I think now it's changing, right? It's changing a little bit, but when I look at it, right? When I look at it and I see it, um, I I I, I look at it and kind of go, um, there's no act three. That's why when you see a Batman story, for example, right? Batman's a cool character, but I know I'm never going to get a happily ever after with Batman. But I got my happily ever after with Edward Elric. It was really. I love the ending of that series in particular. That's one of my favorites ever. So, how about you? What did you read?
mm, reading wise, I've only been able to get some time lately. So
No, I mean growing
I
up. I mean growing
growing up,
up.
um, let's see, growing up in Vietnam, I read manga, but it was translated in Vietnamese. So I read Sakura, the car capture,
Oh, Cardcaptor
the
Sakura. That's a good
yeah,
one. That's a good one.
and then I read Doraemon, Sailor Moon, and then I moved to Korea, and I think I started reading literatures like Huckleberry Finns and Tom Sawyer.
Oh wow.
So moving to Korea, I had to learn the English language, so that's all I read was just the literature stories. Um, and then I got to high school, it was heavier readings because of my teachers, and so I read things like when heaven and earth change places, and
Very
first
cool.
they kill my father, um, breaking tongue, and then yeah, those are probably my most memorable ones. Oh yeah, and then the prince from Machiavelli. So it's just different kind of
Oh my god.
literatures.
Oh my god. So never piss you off. Holy shit.
Well, uh, mind you, I still feel pretty insecure about my English. So
No,
those are heavy readings for me.
no. Yeah. There's a lot to you. Holy shit. No. It sounds to me like are not afraid to challenge yourself at all.
It makes
Am I right or am I on something?
it's going. Oh, sorry,
No, it's okay.
but yeah, like I challenges make every day fun. Like I can't sit still right now. Like only the past 2 days have I just sat at home and done nothing and watched TV. But every single day leading up through 101 Tales, I was either drawing or I was planning the event or planning something to do in the long run.
Nice. No, I get you because for me, ever since I started doing the podcast like this, like what I've been doing, I haven't been on my phone very much at all. Right. I've done a lot more. I've done a lot more of the stuff that I really, really wanted to do, and it energizes you in a way that like nothing else does. So if you're not doing something, you're like, what the hell am I doing? Right? So that's me, of course. That's just me being me and doing my thing. But no, it's just one of those. I get you. I understand that very, very much. Very, very much. So yeah, but so you just enjoyed the. It's interesting. You can actually. I think
It's
I learned
just
I think I learned my first coloring lesson here was when it comes to mouse.
we gotta see what you're drawing to.
Oh no, we will. No, don't worry, we will.
But yeah, it's like um again I forgot his name. I tend to forget names, but I was watching another podcast and this guy was saying that one of the curves to being a creative is that you can't just sit still. It's like every day you have to create and you are constantly trying to create something. So that's the curse.
Well, yeah, okay. So what you did in terms of giving yourself a day off, right? Every
Right.
once in a while, that's healthy.
Yeah.
We all need that, or we go slowly crazy. Slowly, we go crazy. It also takes a lot of confidence to take a day off. Okay, so you did the nose like that. Okay, nose. The nose was actually is actually okay. That's not too bad.
Just think of your drawing kind of like clays. So if you're struggling, just think of like how you would roll up a ball or like a triangle and like slap it on whatever you have right now and then just erase. Think of it like shaving off the parts that you don't need.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm not. I'm not erasing it. I'm still just drawing this out and kind of getting a feel for this.
Okay.
Yeah, no, no, no. It's I'm actually having fun, which I like I said. I'm not gonna lie. This terrified me a little bit. Um, 'Cause when I was a kid, I tried drawing and I wasn't great at it. And although my dad, generally speaking, was very encouraging, this is the one area where he's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it." And I find myself now as I've gotten older slash wiser that I'm trying to go out of my way to become more uncomfortable. But this in particular frightened me. Very rarely does something actually scare me anymore. Right? So this was because this is different. I realize that I really care about this. Interesting.
As long as
So
you're having fun.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's all that really matters. I mean, how long have you been drawing? You don't mind my asking?
Mm, pretty much like um I would say preschool because growing up in Vietnam, you don't really have that much money to buy toys. So I remember first time I've seen like paper dolls, and I used to ask to buy them like almost every week, and so that's expensive, nor less like buying a a Barbie doll, right?
Yeah.
So I
Oh yeah.
started drawing what I see on television. Like I used to watch Sailor Moon, and so I would draw characters like that, and then started making stories and just playing it like regular dolls. So I think it started from there, and I didn't really take art seriously until I hit 8th grade. So it's been, let's see here, almost more, almost a decade.
Oh wow. Okay. I'm not gonna say I'm a genius or anything. Okay. Wow. I figured out how to do a wing. I think. Yeah, I'll show you in just a second kind of what I've been doing because I feel like I should. I mean, I'm nowhere near your level. That's totally like not the point of this. But the point is, I mean, watching what you're doing, or I'm just talking to you, like just as a friend because you're cool and all that stuff, and we're willing to do this. So I appreciate that. Um, it forces me to actually do something I'm uncomfortable with,
No, and
right?
thank you for having me on this whole thing. And yeah, you're putting me out of my own comfort zone too.
That's
But
good.
and it's fun because it's a challenge and we're learning something.
Yeah, and that's just it, right? Like I want to live a creative life. Like for me, I'll level with you since I've interviewed you earlier, just to give you my perspective. I've written stories, I've done podcasts, I've done film work I've been in film crew on films. I love being creative. So now the goal for me is, can I turn it into a living? Right? Can I do it?
Right.
If I can do it, because I don't really like working for people, right? I just don't, right? The only thing, okay, that's right. I just don't like working for people, and I realized that for me, right, that working for people just I don't want to do it. I want to do something business oriented, but I also want to be creative. I want to have fun. Life is. Okay. I'm afraid to ask this because you might beat me. How old are you?
Huh. You guess.
I early 20s is what I have you at.
Yeah.
Okay. So I look at um, I don't want like I look at my time as a very valuable thing. I look at it as what do I want to do for my whole life, and the things I really want to do at this point in my life is I want to do what I love with people I love. Sounds incredibly simple, I know, but I find really there's not much else in life that matters, you know.
Yep.
So if I can do this, have fun, drawing, creating, whatever the case may be, and like I said, I don't have to be great at what I'm doing exactly. But in terms of the drawing part of it, I just want my goal is to become competent, not necessarily great at this, right? But if I can become good or not, right? I'm great. I think I'm good in my writing. I think I'm good as a podcaster. If I can get to the point where I can tell people, hey, listen, I'm worth it, and I believe I'm worth it, then I'm doing what I love, and people like you are always very inspiring to me because you're doing it. You know what I mean? So you eliminate my excuse to not do it, if that makes sense.
Yep. And that's why I also um built one-on-one tales, because like when we were building the guest list, and we have people like Kitsune Windsor who has this physical condition that bounds her to her bed physically, and she
Yes.
can produce like 350 something pages for a manga. And so that really takes away all of our excuses.
Yeah, I know. It pretty much she basically took a giant shit on any of my insecurities. Hey, by the way, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
All right. Well, it's a work in progress, and I definitely made some mistakes. But would you like to see it?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a second here. Let me figure out how the heck to get this out of this. How do I get this out? Boom, boom. No, I don't. How do I? Okay, help. Okay, I'm gonna remove your. I'm gonna remove your phone from the stream. Remove it. It's all right. So I'm gonna do that. Okay. So far, this is what I've done. Can you see it? Or is it not dark enough? I'm in the right spot? Yeah, okay, that's the right spot. You can see it kind of. Is that better? Is that better? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. That's the thing. I can't hear you.
Oh, shoot. Because my phone was. Okay.
I can
Can
hear
you hear me
yes.
now? Yeah, a little bit of an echo. But yeah, we see claws, we see scales. Are those teeth
the
and
mouth kind of.
is that his
I screwed up
tongue?
in two spots. Hands are hard. Hands are really, really hard. Right, but in the mouth, I realized. So I'm gonna take my thing off that for the moment because I'm gonna still work on this. But the thing about it was, okay, I gotta. How the heck do I get you back on the stream here? Holy crap! Where are we doing? Stop screen.
Do you see the bottom?
Yeah.
Where they have all the available screens
Edit my
to chat?
second. Hey, my second. Hold on. Solo layout. Oh, I got it. Exit solo layout. And exit solo layout. Exit solo layout. There we go. Back on. Okay, cool. So sorry. This is my first time. This is why we did. This is why we did it like this, right? But no. I like I said. So I'll tell you what my comic's about. It's called Zippy the Dragon. He's gonna make fun of me. He's gonna make fun of me as a creative, right? It's like draw me, and it's draw something, and he's gonna force me to draw things I never considered, and that's kind of why I'm playing with the idea of drawing dragon. So I use baby dragon. Doesn't look like anything like the baby dragon. I realized very early on that me trying to copy that exactly was going to end in futile failure. Instead, what I tried to do is I tried to look at the shapes, the simpler shapes, and try to figure out how to do those simpler shapes. So I thought scale. I figured out scales. That was actually surprisingly easy, all things considered. Wing, I figured that out too. Hands, kick my ass. Just kick.
So my trick to drawing anything, how I see it over time, because when you look at, there's one thing my dad taught me, and he's no artist himself. And he criticizes my work. Like he criticized the cat I draw, and that ended up selling out. But so he's no artist himself, but he got this one saying that I took with me to this day, is that you cannot really draw what you don't really understand. Until you really understand an object, then you can draw it. So simple as say a ball, a tennis ball, you can draw it because it's just a circle.
Yes.
That's what you register in your mind. It's a circle. Now say you take what do I have around here? Okay, this deodorant bottle. Right? And it becomes a little bit more complex because now you got all the curves and whatnot on it. But when you break it down, it's very simple. There is a triangle on its side, not a triangle, I'm sorry, a rectangle on its side, a longer rectangle standing up underneath it, and then a thinner rectangle on the bottom. So you're stacking 3 rectangles of different sizes on top. Now that makes it easier to understand. After that, when you look at the bottle closely, it curves. So now you would go back into your rectangle drawing and then just curve the lines a bit so that it matches. But you break anything you see down into the basic shape, a triangle, rectangle, a rhombus, a diamond, a square, a circle, then it becomes easier to understand. And then after that, it's like molding clay where you're just like shaving off the side and molding it where it curves nicely. But everything has a simple shape. Like even this
Absolutely.
box, right? If you look at it, there's a rectangle that go across here. At the end of the rectangles, you've got half circles. So
Yeah.
technically, you only have to draw a rectangle and then half circles on each end. It makes it so much easier. So that's what I see, like even down to the faces or like more
No,
complex
absolutely.
drawings, say hands and feet. Yeah. So if you look at your hands, if you're drawing a fist, it's pretty much a rectangle, and then you have smaller rectangles just building up. Even the thumb is a rectangle.
Okay, that's
And
interesting. Yeah, because
so,
I tried doing like the fifth in the corner, and I looked at that like I'm missing something. That's literally what I said there. I like it's like I'm missing something because I don't get it. Mouth is interesting because mouth is all about it's actually the color. It's basically a line, but like it's a line. But as it gets like you want to create a grin, you take that line and you expand it. You expand the line in the middle, and you can create an expression based upon how you shape the line. You go one way, it's a smile. If you go the other way, it's sadness. So it's like okay, I figured some. I feel like it's like after I did it, it was like, okay, I think I figured some stuff out just doing it, right? So,
yeah.
like,
And
and just so everybody can see it once again, this was the first drawing in this book, ladies and gentlemen. Haha, my dragon with no hands, but that's okay. I'm okay with no hand dragon.
oh, now you can go back and retry.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's the whole point, right? This was for me to try something new and different, and this was for you a chance to show up everybody just why you're so freaking good. And yeah, I'm gonna, but no, I mean, I know you're very humble about it, but you worked like I can just tell you've worked very hard at this, like very very hard at this. So when I'm complimenting you, I know it's a hard. I know because it's actually a genuine thing, and you're like, oh my god, he's not bullshitting me, right? Right? But honestly, like you've put in a lot of years doing what you're doing. And so when I bring this up like this, it's because yeah, I acknowledge like you have what I don't know if you consider yourself necessarily an expert or competent or incompetent or whatever the case may be, but you're at the very least I think you're competent. I think you're great, and maybe someday down. Actually, I do know exactly what I may ask you to do. I'm not going to do this on the air, but but I do hope at some point I do get the opportunity to work with you on something. That'd be kind of cool. I think you're awesome. So
That would be fun. And like the only reason why I would put in so much years throughout my life so far, I haven't lived on Earth that long,
yeah,
but why I've stuck with it was because it is fun and it's I stay true to it and it stays true to me. It is an extension of myself in a way. So as long as you're having fun and that it just flows naturally and you will stick to it. And what I notice is when it is a thing for you, you can't escape it.
no,
Like it's not even a stereotypical Asian. I went to school up to high school. I had a dream to go into architect.
I
I
could see
wanted to
that. I
become,
could see you do
yeah.
that. I could see you do
I,
that. I do want to.
I had a whole plan, but like also because of family stuff, I couldn't reach my dream. And then after that, I took a step back, and I was like devastated because I built myself up. Like imagine a kid's like, I'm gonna be an architect. It's like that's my biggest dream, and then it gets shattered, and then you're like, well, what do I do with my life now? I started just venturing out. So like for any young kids or growing and young adults, that is your time when you're young to explore. Like don't just explore the bad stuff, like explore the good stuff and explore and be curious and quizzical. Like how does a how does deodorant work? And why do we have water the way we have it? And like, is there another way we can drink water? What kind of content is in water? It's like it's time to be quizzical and explore. So that's what I did with myself. I went and ventured into computer science, all the way in the other grid end of art. And so I went into computer science, I studied, and then I got into a little bit of programming, and then comes college. I was going to be a computer scientist, and then that didn't happen. I ended up in cybersecurity. That
Yeah,
just happened on its own.
I don't know if I want to give you a hug or not. I know a couple of buddies of mine that do cybersecurity. They like it and they don't. There is a certain order to it, but it's very, in one very real sense, is a very limited use of their skills because because I find a lot of people that are in cybersecurity can do so much more. Like it's ridiculous what you guys can do, but what you're basically doing is very like not even like a fifth of what you can do. It's like this is nice, it pays the bills,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And that is something that's very real that I have to juggle and balance with in my life right now. It's reality for me. And like and
Yeah.
yeah, that's back to the point where it's like even though I'm doing all these things and I'm exploring, I'm not limiting myself to just art as well. It goes back into my art too. What I learned from cybersecurity, believe it or not, some of it goes back into my art and what or the stories I try to generate on my spare time. And but at the same time, it's like um in this day and age as a young adults like myself, I have to juggle the reality of life where you're paying bills. I am paying bills. I have a full daytime job, and I'm paying for my own living expense. I don't live with my folks. And to also juggle your passion, like in art, you have to deal with both. And where I come to the consensus is that uh, I like programming. I like doing what I did in my study of cybersecurity. So that was a plus side. But then at the same time, I also like art because it's the other side where I can express as well. So I can do both, but depending on what I'm creating with both. So
It's
cybersecurity, I can end up in a government job, or I can use that skill to create better programs or create programs that actually help companies. Or I can also with my art, right? Instead of working for Marvel and DC, I can go and generate my own books and deliver my own products. So there's so many ways we can create things nowadays. So we shouldn't be limiting ourselves in one genre.
I'm going to go one step. I'm going to go one step further. I'm at that. See, I've done. I'm 39. Just to give you an idea how old I am. I'm 39 years old. I've done essentially one full career, and I'm trying. Literally, I'm changing my life from one. I'm trying to shift from one thing to the other. I gave myself a deadline of March of next year. So if it doesn't work, if it doesn't work out the way I want it to, I'm going to go back to school to take a broadcasting course. I have a big mouth. I'm good at it. I think it would not be that hard of a stretch for me. The hardest thing for me will be that first the stuff I've already learned. They always start teaching you. Getting to, can I just get to the good stuff so I can get out of here quickly? That's literally where I'm at, right? But you never stop exploring. The reality of the situation is you have to have a clear idea what you want. You have to have a clear idea where you want to go first and foremost. And I feel you mostly do. You're still willing to explore, but I think you kind of picked your path. Am I wrong assuming that?
More so what I don't want to do.
Okay,
Like,
fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah, like I look at my life, like, I go to these conventions and I meet so many people, and they're like, oh, are you gonna go into comics? You gotta put your whole, you go either 100%, there's no plan B to it. You gotta put your 100% into comics if you want to succeed. So I've gotten comments like that, and then at first, as a young person, you're like, oh yeah, this sounds so great. I'm so excited. I should be learning this. I should be doing that. I gotta have a portfolio by this day. I gotta go submit. And then when you finally take a, a breath and you're stepping back and you're like, oh wait, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Or am I just, infatuated with whatever is going on and I'm just in a rush right now, right?
I think here's what you give yourself the freedom to, no matter where you are in your life, is change. I'm in a good spot right now. I'm currently basically house sitting. My dad's got a buddy that's in the country right now, so I'm house sitting. I have a rule though. I have 8 rules to success. The 8th rule is stay uncomfortable. I've purposely given myself, like, I've released 2 books this year. I've transformed this podcast. I've decided, let's see what happens when I make this a full career for 1 year. Let's see what I can accomplish in that time. 2 books are coming out. I'm trying to release something else, a 3rd book by the end of the year. Now, here's what I've learned. I can make money doing this. I haven't made a living doing this yet. Right now, and I do know, but what I have noticed is the more I'm doing it, right, the more that living money is. I'm not living yet, but there's been a couple months where I would have paid my bills. Like, if I was still living in a full-fledged environment, I would have still paid. There's some months nothing has come in. Like, that's just literally like that is the gambit of being an artist. Sometimes there's nothing, sometimes there's everything. I had 1 week this year where I had 6 different paychecks in 1 week. Like, it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had like 1 month, nothing, like nada, zip, zilt, 0. So that's part of the role. Like, you're rolling with the process and going with it. So what I discovered very quickly, and this is the only thing I will tell you: find your niche. Like, it be very. I don't really need to feel like I should tell you what you're good at. I feel whether you'll acknowledge it or not. You got a very humble thing there. But dude, let's get a little ego to this. There are some things you're really, really good at. Like, holy shit, you're really good at them. So if you love them, make them your niche, and let that generate your living/income. Now, I'm in a good position right now where I can kind of let things ride, and you're right, I can let things ride right now. But after March next year, I'm not letting it ride. Even if it takes me a couple months to get completely out of the situation I'm currently in, I get out and I do something else, because I realize that I don't want to stay here forever. This is a gift and a blessing. If it's a short-term thing, if it's a long-term thing, I'm damaging myself, right? That's the thing, right? Short-term, take advantage of it. Try to do something. You have that opportunity, make the most of it. Go for it. That's my current. So again, I have an advantage. Maybe you don't right now, but don't be afraid to try. Find your niche, what you feel you can really excel at. Please do it out of love. Because honestly, that will carry you. There's no matter how good you are at this, there are going to be some months you're going to get your ass kicked. That's just the way it is, right? But you got to be real about that, right?
Yep.
But finally, this is what it comes down to ultimately. Do you believe you can do it? Because even if you fail, okay, here's the thing about failure. Failures lead to other successes. Because the fact that you've acted and done something, it resonates. One thing leads to another, which leads to another, which leads to another, which leads to another. And next thing you know, okay, maybe you don't end up in comics. Maybe you try to go for comics and you're like, yeah, I don't know if that's for me. Right? But then say a video game company goes, it would be great if you did our covers for these video games. You want to be the next Final Fantasy concept artist. I feel you do that in a heartbeat. Like, you'd be like, wee, let's go in, right?
Yeah.
But you never know. That's the whole point. What I'm getting at, right? You could end up somewhere you never imagined you would, simply by going out and doing it. even if it doesn't work out in this moment, everything we do leads somewhere. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. I totally agree. And that's why all this circle and square, why I am putting everything aside to do the circle and square, because there's a purpose to them. I'm not just going back to just studying the fundamental for nothing. Of
No.
course, I have a passion for art, but there are story of my own that I want to put out. I want to send a message across, and if I happen to be working on another story from someone else, that will be like a whole practice for me, so that I can be a better storyteller through my visual illustration, and then eventually that will work up to the point where I feel confident enough where I can actually put out my own product. And so in the long run, I do see myself doing that. In terms of art, that is on the life list, as my therapist puts it. Life list, not bucket list. You got to do it in your life.
Lifestyle becomes death style. Just the way it goes. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want you back on the show. We'll have to do a proper interview. We had a great conversation, and I really, really loved it. This was a little different, as I like, but I hope you enjoyed this. How was it?
Oh
for you?
yeah.
Was it fun?
Yes, yes. You actually put me back into drawing after I took my turkey lunch dinner.
Yeah, nice, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
and I was like quiet the whole week after
Oh,
101
no, you
Tales. I
needed a
was
break.
like,
Like you needed a break. That's a good thing. You needed that.
yeah.
Or we,
And I mean, after this, I am staying, trying to lay low because I am putting myself back to studying. Next year is a big study year for me. Like, I got my driver license to study for. I have my IT certs that my uncle is going to teach me from all the way in Australia. And then I have the fundamentals of art, and like the list goes on. I have lots of studying to do. And yeah, it just doesn't stop with just high school or college.
oh, no, okay. Give yourself permission to go for it. That's the only thing I'll tell you. Beyond that, I wish you the best next year. But before we go and wrap this up for this conversation, why don't you let people know who are you, where people can find you, and why you're awesome. Well, the last part I can do, but that's definitely the first two parts for sure.
So my name is Anh Vu. Call me on, like on off. Turn the lights on, turn the lights off. But anyways, you can find me mostly on Instagram for my artwork. I've only started doing Facebook a bit more, but find me on Instagram at ONK97. That's Oscar Nancy Kilo 97. That's I usually put all my artworks and my drawing processes up there. And then you can hop over to Facebook. You can look up my name right here, and then the number 369 at the end. Tesla number. But yeah, Anvu369 on Facebook, and feel free to DM me anything about art, or if you have anything, ideas or cultural you want to talk about. I'm glad to chat and talk and connect. And yeah.
She draws really well, folks. She draws really, really well. All right. That is